Salvador in Bahia is one of Brazil's most culturally rich, spiritually vibrant, and historically significant cities in South America. So here are top 10 experiences making it a one-of-a-kind destination in Brazil. From stunning coconut coastline to Afro-Brazilian culture creating unforgettable vibe. In this video, you'll find top places, restaurants and beaches that make Salvador an unforgettable travel experience. So if you are planning to visit or just want to explore, watch till the end to see some truly hidden gems of Brazil. City where Africa, Europe and indigenous traditions collide in rhythm, colors and flavors. From colorful streets of Pelourinho, Afro-Brazilian culture, to tropical beaches and unforgettable flavors of Bahia. Start with a cultural walking tour to explore Pelourinho, the heart of historic Salvador. Wander the colorful cobblestone streets of this UNESCO World Heritage District. Churches, art galleries, street music, and local craft stores. You can easily book a walking tour through Airbnb experiences or local tour operators. In our first video from Salvador, we took you on a complete tour of Pelourinho, exploring its rich heritage and colonial history. If you'd like to see more of this colorful and vibrant neighborhood, be sure to check out that video on our travel channel. So here is just a quick preview of the experience that Pelourinho offers. Every traveler to Bahia should experience this historic neighborhood to connect with Brazil's history, culture, and energy together in one unforgettable setting. Walking through Pelourinho feels like stepping into a living museum, where brightly colored colonial buildings, cobblestone streets, and grand churches tell stories that stretch back centuries. But this neighborhood isn't frozen in the past. It's alive with Afro-Brazilian music, capoeira performances, local art, and the rhythms of samba echoing through the squares. No city in Brazil has a stronger African roots than Salvador. Descendants of enslaved Africans shaped the music, religion, cuisine, and identity of this place. Art isn't just entertainment here, it is history alive. Beneath the postcard beauty architecture, this place carries deep memories of slavery and its consequences until today. Salvador is one of the largest cities in Brazil, and by far with most Afro-Brazilians, where whites comprise only less than 17% of the local population in Bahia. The name of the historic district, Pelourinho, means whipping post. It was here that enslaved Africans were punished in public. Cobblestone streets, pastel houses, and colonial churches lined the hilltop, covering a very dark history of how Brazil was initially built by the Portuguese crown and settlers. From the 1500s onward, ships brought 5 million of African men, women, and children to Brazilian ports. Today, more than 75 million people living in Brazil are of African descent, making Brazil one of the most diverse countries in the world. Salvador streets are full of color and life. You can taste the African influences in the local food. You can hear it in the music. Experience it through candomblé houses across Salvador, keeping African religious traditions alive alongside Catholic churches, blending faiths in a unique cultural harmony. While the history of slavery in Bahia is painful, the legacy is very powerful and visible on every corner. The survival of so much African culture is a testimony to resistance against conditions meant to erase identity. The Mercado Modelo in Lower Town is one of Salvador's most iconic landmarks, and it is deeply intertwined with the city's colonial past and Brazil's history of slavery. The building dates back to 1861, originally constructed as the customs house when the city was one of the largest slave ports in the Americas. From the 16th to the 19th centuries, millions of enslaved Africans were brought to Brazil, many arriving through the port next to the market building. Today, the Mercado Modelo is a popular market, housing over 250 stalls, selling Afro-Brazilian crafts, religious items linked to candomblé, art, souvenirs, and local foods. Beneath the market building are underground tunnels that were used to detain or transport enslaved Africans away from public view. These tunnels symbolize how slavery was embedded into everyday commerce, hidden beneath the surface of colonial society. In the heart of historic Pelourinho, every Tuesday one church is full of crowds and music coming from within the centuries-old walls. It's drumming. There are African drums right next to the altar. The singing that they accompany is part of the Roman liturgy, but here again, the African influence is visible. 4 centuries, Africans had freely interpreted the Christian faith. Every Tuesday evening, followers of Candomblé, Afro-Brazilian religion, come to place offerings at the foot of the altar in Rosário dos Pretos Catholic Church. These offerings are reminiscent of those left for orishas during Afro-Brazilian candomblé ceremonies. Next stop, tropical beaches in Salvador, where coconut palms sway gently along the sun-kissed coast. In Salvador, the shoreline feels alive with color and rhythm, golden sands meeting warm Atlantic waves, framed by palm-lined avenues and historic landmarks. From calm, crystal-clear waters, perfect for a swim, to breezy stretches where surfers chase the wind, each beach has its own personality and pace. So here are our favorite beaches we discovered in Salvador. Paciência Beach was one of our favorite spots, and it's easy to see why. Natural rock formations create calm sea swimming pools, giving the beach a relaxed local feel with hardly any vendors around. The atmosphere here is peaceful and unhurried, making it a perfect place to slow down and enjoy the moment. Many beaches outside the bay face strong ocean currents, and during our visit, red flags were up at several spots, warning against swimming. That's what makes Patience Beach such a great stop when the waves are too intense. The surrounding rocks act as a natural barrier, protecting swimmers from the currents and offering a safe, tranquil escape from the open ocean. And when you want to experience truly a local beach, with hardly any waves, choose one inside the Bay of All Saints, like Boa Viagem, with local bars and restaurants, and a historical fort overlooking the sandy shores. Like any major coastal city in Brazil, enjoying your visit safely is all about knowing where you are, when to go, and how to move. Some beaches in Salvador are more urban and lively, while others are calmer and better suited for swimming. Popular spots like Porto da Barra and Boa Viagem are well frequented, especially during the day, which naturally adds a layer of safety. More isolated beaches can be stunning, but they're best visited with locals or during busier hours. At the edge of the end of the beach, you will find a hill with almost 5 centuries old fort built by the Portuguese. Visiting this fort is like stepping into a quiet chapter of Salvador's layered history. Perched above the calm waters of the Bay of All Saints, the fort offers sweeping panoramic views that stretch across the sea and toward the lower city. Built in the 16th century, it tells stories of colonial defense, maritime trade, and centuries of strategic importance. The atmosphere here is peaceful, making it an ideal stop for travelers who want to slow down or take some shade after busy beaches and streets of Salvador. You can visit for free. There was no ticket booth, and inside the fort you'll find a large open courtyard with historic cannons, military barracks and chapel that feel intimate and timeless, with much fewer crowds than Salvador's more famous landmarks and historic district. From the top, the panoramic view covering all of the Bay of All Saints contrasts with historic stones, creating one of the city's most underrated photo spots. When visiting Salvador, this fort is a rewarding detour, especially for travelers interested in history photography and quiet moments with a view that connects past and present. And remember, when traveling outside of tourist zones, take Uber from point A to B. It's a quick, cheap, and safe way to move around Salvador. Bahia doesn't just have a look or a rhythm. It also has many flavors. The cuisine of Bahia is bold, comforting, and deeply tied to Afro-Brazilian heritage, shaped by African, indigenous, and Portuguese influences. Coconut milk, palm oil, fresh seafood, and herbs form the backbone of Bahian cooking, creating dishes that feel both soulful and unforgettable. Coconut is everywhere, and it is used in ways that go far beyond desserts. Coconut milk adds richness to stews, sauces, and seafood dishes, balancing spice with a subtle sweetness. And when it's time to take your taste adventure a bit deeper, a dinner at Genaro Porvini restaurant, inside the elegant Da Bahia by Wish Hotel, is a must-experience stop on your Salvador food journey. This restaurant blends Brazilian heart with Italian and Iberian culinary flair, creating dishes that are both comforting and sophisticated. Locals and travelers alike praise the thoughtfully crafted menu, where each plate is as beautiful as it is delicious. Nestled in a historic setting with artistic touches that reflect Bahia's rich culture, the restaurant was by far the finest dining experience we had in Bahia. And it offered us the best traditional moqueca de camarão we have ever eaten, the dish that captures Bahia in a single pot. Juicy fresh shrimps are gently cooked in a fragrant blend of coconut milk, palm oil, peppers, tomatoes, and herbs, creating a stew that's rich without being heavy. Served bubbling hot and usually paired with rice and farofa, it's not just a meal. It's a local experience. One bite tells you exactly where you are. Warm, coastal, vibrant, and unmistakably Bahian. Consider reserving ahead, especially on weekends when this hidden gem fills with food lovers eager to taste one of the city's most talked about dining spots. And finally, you cannot miss buffet lunch at the local culinary school in the heart of Pelourinho. This is a unique place where tradition meets education and where Bahian cuisine is prepared with care, pride, and a deep respect for local flavors. The restaurant offers lunch buffet until 3:30 in the afternoon. And what makes this experience even more special is knowing that every dish is prepared by students training in the culinary arts. This isn't just a restaurant, it's also a local classroom. You cannot visit Salvador without spending an afternoon in Gamboa and trying local food there. Right on the cliffs, underneath the rising high-rise of the city. Gamboa is one of Salvador's surprising and literally hidden treasures. It is located between the Museum of Modern Art and the turquoise waters of the Bay of All Saints. And we only found out about it from the Netflix documentary Latin American Street Food. Gamboa is shaped by the sea and by the people who have lived here for generations. Local artists, divers, sailors, families. Their lives fill the streets with an energy that is relaxed but deeply proud. And if you follow the scent of frying garlic and seafood, you'll discover one of the neighborhood's greatest secrets. It's food. Tiny restaurants cling to the hillside, hidden behind winding alleys. Wooden stairways lead down to beach bars perched over the water, where tables are simple, but the flavors are unforgettable. One of the most beloved spots is Dona Susana, with a terrace overlooking the bay and some of the signature dishes representing Bahia cuisine. This is a gem not to be missed. A modest beachside kitchen that became a local star when it was featured on the Netflix documentary Latin American Street Food. The restaurant is simple: plastic chairs, sea breeze, laughter from the next table. But the flavors are profound. Eating here is an experience you might remember more clearly than the famous landmarks of Salvador. When travelers think of Salvador, coffee isn't always the first thing that comes to mind, but it absolutely should be. Brazil is the world's coffee giant, and in Salvador, coffee culture blends tradition, rhythm, and everyday life. In the historic center, you can find many places that serve good coffee and a variety of ways how coffee is prepared. Our favorite spot was Café and Chocolate, where we had a filtered coffee from Chapada Diamantina. Excellent and delicious, not to mention the hospitality and service from the local staff and educational information about coffee and chocolate cultivation in Brazil. Cafes here aren't rushed pit stops. They're places to pause, people watch, and feel the city's energy. We are heading to the neighborhood called Santo Antonio Além do Carmo. This corner of Salvador feels like it's moving at its own tempo, unhurried, creative, quietly magnetic. Townhouses in sun-faded pinks, blues, like a living color palette. Walk into one of the cafes and you're rewarded with sweeping views of the Bay of All Saints, shimmering and expansive, reminding you why Salvador has always been a city shaped by the sea. Trying a variety of cachaça shots at Café Icona is one of the most fun and eye-opening ways to experience Brazilian culture in Salvador. This cozy, character-filled spot specializes in cachaça from all over Brazil, offering tasting shots that highlight how different regions, aging methods, and ingredients shape the flavor. From smooth and slightly sweet to bold and fiery, each sip tells a different story. Our best experience when exploring Salvador was the street nightlife when the historic center fills with bands and performers practicing before the carnival season. Many bars in Pelourinho offer live music, inside or outside, so be sure to ask around and listen tentatively to the sounds carried through the historic narrow streets. Carnival in Salvador isn't something you watch, it's something you step into. For days, the city transforms into one massive open-air celebration driven by pounding drums, Afro-Brazilian rhythms, and the iconic sound trucks rolling through the streets. It usually happens around February and March. And even if you visit outside of the carnival season, you can sense how much carnival is part of Bahian identity, from local carnival museum, samba de roda dancing, to the bands beating African drums throughout Pelourinho at night. And to wrap up, few final recommendations. Just behind the Modelo Public Market, you will find boats and ferry to nearby islands and beaches across the Bay of All Saints. Best to go the day before your trip, to get a ticket and check the schedule to plan your excursion to some of the most beautiful beaches in Bahia. And what were your top 10 experiences in Salvador? What hidden gems have we missed and we should try in our next visit to Bahia? Leave your comments below. Check out our first video from Salvador with the full tour of the historic center. And if you want more stories and recommendations from Brazil and around the world, hit subscribe on the channel page